waiting for a couple others. Dr. Chicken. He's with us. Thanks, everybody. Everybody, I'd like to call the FSU Board of Trustees meeting to order. And first, lead with my apologies for starting the meeting 22 minutes late. We had a workshop earlier, and then the president had some things to deal with, as I did, and I apologize to everyone for keeping you waiting, but thank you for being here, and thank you for participating. And I think, is Jay with us today, Doctor? President, is she with us today? Your wife, did she join us? All right, I thought she might be here, but I certainly had a chance to be with her at dinner last night, and as excited I am about President McCullough, I'm equally excited about our first president, the first lady at Florida State University. It will be a great time, a great experience having them there, and a great day ahead for Florida State. Linda, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Alvarez.
Here.
Trustee Ballard.
Here.
Chair Burr.
Here.
Trustee Chicken.
Here.
Trustee Collins.
Here.
Trustee De Las Cuevas Diaz.
Here.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Here.
Trustee Henderson.
Here.
Trustee Johnavere.
Here.
Trustee Mateer.
Here.
Trustee Sargent.
Here.
Vice Chair Sasser.
Here.
Trustee Thiel.
Here.
You have a quorum.
I don't think you are. You? Thank you, Linda, and thanks everyone for being here. I know this meeting was a short notice meeting, and we appreciate everyone being here. And first action is approval of the minutes from the June 17th board meeting. They've been distributed. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Any changes to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Next, we have public comments. We do have a few people who have requested to speak. The agenda today is very limited, so I hope your comments will be directed to the agenda, or that you will also limit your comments, obviously no more than 3 minutes. And I ask, since we have so many people and we have such a short window and a short agenda, that you not repeat comments that anyone else has said. You can just acknowledge your support for those previous comments. These are in no specific order. I have Susan Rogowski, who's with GAU/Potbellies, a student and a teaching assistant. Susan, you're recognized. Please come to the podium right here. And Jordan Scott, if you'll be ready, you'll be next. And so if you can get close to the podium as well. Susan, you're recognized.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I think I filled out that sheet wrong. I'm not with Potbellies. I'm with the math department here at Florida State University. I'm a PhD student. I'm also an instructor of pre-calculus. And I wanted to say that I stand in solidarity with the Graduate Assistants Union as they bargain for their memorandum for the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. I'd also like to express my concern within my own classroom. I'm extremely happy that we're back in person and the vaccine has made that available to us. I'm passionate about teaching, and I believe that being in person is the best way to learn. However, I currently do not feel safe in my own classroom, as many students come without masks. And just this morning, a judge ruled that DeSantis' executive order to ban mask mandates was unconstitutional. During his arguments, he compared the mask mandate to drunk driving. And just like any person is allowed to get as intoxicated as they like, students are allowed to crowd Potbellies Bar right around the corner without masks and exposing themselves to COVID. However, they should not be able to put other students and their instructors in danger by showing up to the classroom without a mask. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Next, we have Jordan Scott with the Graduate Assistant Union, and after that would be, I think it's Robin Goodman. Jordan, you're recognized. As soon as we change the microphone.
Yes, I plan to speak very briefly here. I'm standing up to stand in solidarity with Graduate Assistants United. We are asking for stronger protocols in terms of COVID health and safety on campus, and others will elaborate on what exactly that means. I just want to point out that I am a type 1 diabetic, which is an autoimmune disorder, meaning that I'm immunocompromised. If I were to get COVID, it would be a pretty bad thing. Even if I don't end up having problems with the illness in particular, it will mess up my blood sugars and make me feel extremely ill, which will prevent me from working, essentially. And in a broader sense, we want to stand with, faculty, students, staff, graduate assistants, and even broader, the Tallahassee community, because it's all about us coming through this together healthfully, and also being able to say that we did not have any deaths at FSU, and we didn't go out and cause deaths outside of the FSU campus and the broader Tallahassee and Big Bend community. Thank you.
Jordan, thank you, and please stay healthy, stay safe. I think as soon as we change the mics, we have Robin Goodman. Robin, you're recognized.
Thank you. My name is Robin Goodman. I'm a professor of English. I'll start by saying how happy I am to be back in the classroom and how my colleagues are happy as well. Most of us feel that Zoom was a pedagogical challenge. However, what we would really like is some control over making decisions about the safety of that space, the ability to ask students to wear masks, vaccinate, and distance. This we do not have, meaning that you are asking us to risk our lives and the lives of our children and other family members in order to do our jobs. Every time I leave my office, I grab a handful of cloth masks that I purchased for this reason. If I'm walking to the bathroom or going upstairs to a meeting, I pass students lingering in the hallway without masks and give them one. I'm giving away 20 to 30 masks a day just through these random encounters. There must be hundreds of students hanging around in these very closed spaces without masks. My graduate students are telling me that in their classes of 19, at least 4 undergraduates have positive tests and can't come to class. These students have to miss 2 weeks of class unless the instructor is kind enough to teach the class both face-to-face and on Zoom, doubling the workload. The increased workload may seem to you a small thing in relation to this crisis, but instructors teaching 2 classes at once are distracted and unable to devote full attention to their students. While these regulations are putting everyone at risk and creating barriers to teaching and learning, everybody's workload has increased, and the administration is still refusing raises. If the administration is promoting an image of FSU as a family, as the new president has said, I would ask that you not kill the children, or at the very least, allow us to be safe. Thanks.
Thank you, Robin. Next, we have Roxy Brookshire, and then Irene Padavic after that. Roxy, you're recognized.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Roxy Brookshire, and I'm the president of FSU GAU. I care deeply about the safety of graduate assistants, our students, and our families, many of whom are particularly vulnerable to COVID infections and complications. The city of Tallahassee has had more positive COVID tests in the past month than at any point prior in the pandemic. Our hospitals are reaching critical capacity, and our morgues are filling up. Unlike previous strains of COVID-19, the Delta variant is severely impacting younger and healthier people. So far, 2 children this summer under 12 have died. Even though FSU is not collecting or sharing statistics on campus vaccination rates, we know that nationally, young people have some of the lowest vaccination rates compared to other age groups. According to the CDC, in July, only 41.8% of Americans ages 18 to 24 were fully vaccinated. We also know that Florida lags behind many other states in vaccination rates. Taken together, what this suggests is that a significant portion of FSU's undergraduates may be unvaccinated despite the university's language about, quote, expectations. What Graduate Assistants United is asking for is that the university adopt an array of common sense options for students, which may include being vaccinated, wearing a face covering, remote instruction or flex classes, social distancing, and asking students who can't comply with any of the protocols for safety to leave the classroom to protect my colleagues and other students. If it's true that FSU is truly a family, a caring community with common goals, then we must be responsible for the health and safety of all. I will not be able to live with myself if I have to bury one of my students or colleagues this year. Or God forbid, they have to bury one of their children, which is a real and alarming possibility. Show that FSU is committed to common sense and compassion and do the right thing.
Thank you. Next, we have Irene Padavic, and then that'll be Dayton Syme. Hello, Irene.
Sociology. I'm here to talk about the $2,000 bonus that you currently have on the table for salary negotiations. And I want to put it in context. COVID has made teaching very hard for the last year and a half. You've heard about that. You'll hear more about it, I assume. And we rose to the challenge. We were proud. We came together as a team, and this campus hummed. And this year, we had such high expectations, but now it's even worse. As you know, faculty are terrified, as you've been hearing. My class, I have one class of 125 and another of 65, and they're sitting cheek to jowl, and my estimate is only 60% are vaccinated. And I worry about them. They have so much to live for. I worry about bringing it home to my own family. So that's the context. $2,000 bonus is not going to improve morale. A $2,000 bonus isn't going to put food on our families' tables. A $2,000 bonus isn't going to pay off the student debt of my younger colleagues. But a $2,000 bonus will drive our most productive faculty into the arms of other institutions that have masking and vaccinations and high starting salaries and a system of regular raises. So I encourage you to rethink this meager bonus. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene. Next, we have Dayton Syme. Will be followed with Vincenza Berardo.
Good afternoon. I'm Dayton Syme, a fourth-year biomathematics PhD grad student teaching a logic mathematics course here at FSU. I don't know if all of you are caught up on the news, but recently a father in Texas stripped in front of his local school board as satire for the rules we follow in society, and while still wearing his mask, which he supported. I am not going to be subjecting that to you
Thank you.
today.
Thank you, Dayton. I had a flashback, vision that I'm glad we're not doing. So.
Yep. Instead, I'm here to stand in solidarity with the GAU, and separately, I do ask for all of you to please support a requirement for masks on campus. They are the safest and easiest method to help mitigate the spread of COVID. Thank you all for this time to speak with you today.
Thank you, Dayton. Vincenza Berardo, and then Michael Buckler will be after Vincenza. Welcome, Vincenzo.
I've been here so many times, one day you're going to figure out how to say my name.
Sorry, I'm doing my best.
So I am Vincenza Berardo.
Vincenzo.
I am a sixth-year PhD candidate in the philosophy department. I teach many of your classes, and I am the chief negotiator for GAU. I am not going to talk about what we are discussing at the table right now, as negotiations are still ongoing. Instead, I'm just going to talk about my personal experiences. The first thing I'd like to note is this wonderful visual metaphor that we have right in front of us right now. The public comment section over there is not socially distanced. We're all kind of crammed cheek to jowl, as was said earlier. We don't have any fancy glass partitions or plastic partitions between us. And yet the Board of Trustees, sorry to kind of be mean, guys, but you're all sitting here nicely socially distanced with your careful plastic partitions between you, kind of just like how we, the instructors, are out there amongst the college undergraduates, teaching them in basement classrooms with no windows that can occupy exactly 48 students and are filled by exactly 48 students. So the people in charge of this administration of this university are safe, and the people actually doing the work of the university are not. And all of that for $17,000 a year. I myself don't have any pre-existing conditions, but I do have a mental disorder called panic disorder with health anxiety. That's what they're calling hypochondria these days. It's real fancy sounding. Basically, what this means is my norepinephrine neurotransmitters constantly are firing at really high levels, telling me, panic, there's a fire somewhere. And that affects me physically. I was actually hospitalized 4 times in 2019 before I got this diagnosed, because what would happen is my heart rate would spike to 160 beats per minute. My breath would obviously start coming short. At one point, my entire left arm and side of my skull went numb. So I called an ambulance at that point. I'm like, oh God, I'm having a heart attack, I'm dying. Eventually, we figured out what this is a panic disorder. It's a mental disorder, a problem with my neurotransmitters. This is not an ADA-approved condition that would keep me out of teaching in the classroom. However, obviously, this greatly affects me, and the fact that there's a pandemic raging greatly affects this particular condition. I have my disorder under control. I take an SNRI at the exact same time every day, because if I take it an hour early or an hour late, I end up having these symptoms again. I do cognitive behavioral therapy every single night, and in the year of getting diagnosed with this and not knowing what was going on, I still taught 120-person class. I taught again the next semester, and I negotiated 3 different COVID contracts last year, or 3 different GAU contracts last year, 2 of which were COVID specific. So I'm doing the work, and I want you guys to do the work too. Meet us halfway. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Michael Buckler.
Thank you all. I'm just starting my 20th year at FSU, and this last year and a half was the most challenging as my time as a professor. Over spring break 2020, my colleagues and I shifted from in-person to online instruction. Last year, my classes were entirely online, and I'd say that my class preparations took at least 50% more time, possibly more than that. The administration of FSU was generous in their praise of FSU faculty, staff, and students. They called us resilient over and over again, and they lauded us for our flexibility and for the continued care that we gave to our students, who were struggling more than usual and in more different ways. But all the praise offered by the administration feels empty when we're being offered not even $1 more in salary this year. For 2 years, we've gone without a recurring raise. It's been 5 years since we've seen any money applied toward market equity, correcting faculty salaries that have become inverted and compressed. We heard the praises, and we heard President John Thrasher celebrate that FSU had gotten everything it asked for in the recent legislative session. But our collective bargaining agreement, the contract written by both the Board of Trustees representatives and our faculty, mandates that, this is Article 23, the President shall, in his or her annual budget request the Board of Governors to seek from the Florida legislature recurring funds to be allocated toward meritorious performance, correcting market inequities within the faculty, and raising average FSU faculty salaries to the national average for top 25 public research universities. If you requested that money and didn't receive it, then clearly you didn't get everything you asked for from the legislature. If you failed to request that money, then you've violated our legal agreement. Given the number of new searches planned for this year, I'd say that you do have money for faculty. I appreciate that budgets are complex, but fundamentally, they're a way of stating the university's priorities. Right now, despite everything that we've been through, the faculty who care for students and who have raised this university to its lofty rank do not appear to be a priority. And that, I have to say, is incredibly dispiriting. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That's the last public comment I have. Is there anyone else that did not submit a card who'd like to speak? Thank you. We'll close public comment. I very seldom respond to public comment, but I feel compelled to today, especially some allegation or allegations that this board or this administration or this university doesn't care about the lives and the faculty and the students and the other members of administration on campus. President McKellar has been here about 3 weeks, maybe 3.5, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And he has already spent tireless hours on the phone with the Board of Governors, with our state health experts. And before that, his predecessor, John Thrasher, President Thrasher, and I have spent untold hours in meetings after meetings to do everything we can to make sure within the boundaries of the laws and the policies of the state of Florida that we do everything necessary to keep our faculty and our administration and our students safe. There is no higher priority. There's never been any higher priority, even over education and safety. And I know this president embraces that, and I know this administration has always embraced that. So, but we do have to operate within the boundaries of the state law. We're a state university and system institution. We have to operate within the guidelines that are given to us, and we are doing everything we can to help ensure the safety and well-being of our students. It's a very difficult challenge and very difficult challenge to do. But it's not for lack of passion. It is not for lack of effort. And we pray that all the encouragement we do, all the letters we have sent, everything we said to encourage vaccinations, encourage masks, encourage proper distancing, will make a difference and keep some of the things from happening that was alluded to in your comments, but various comments, very people comments. So I appreciate that. We begin every meeting with a comment on ethics and conflict of interest. I'm going to do that now. I begin our meeting with a reminder to board members about our ethics policy and obligations imposed by that policy in Florida law. Trustees are public officers of the state of Florida who are invested with the public trust and appointed as fiduciaries of the university. The Board of Trustees ethics policy that governs our conduct requires us to disclose any conflicts of interest present for any trustee, trustee's family member, or trustee's business associate, as those terms are defined by the policy. Having reviewed the agenda for today's meeting and having had the opportunity to consult with the general counsel and the ethics officer about any potential actual or perceived conflict, does any trustee wish to disclose any matter that may impact his or her ability to discuss or vote on any agenda item? Trustees? Seeing none, we'll move on with our agenda. Next, we'll hear from President McKellar. Dr. McKellar.
Thank you, Chairman Burr. Good afternoon. Last time I was in front of the Board of Trustees, I was interviewing for this job, and so it's good to be here today, sitting around the table with the rest of you. Thank you so much for choosing me, and I will work tirelessly for this university, not only for the trustees, but the faculty, staff, students, and everyone associated with the university, alums, etc. I've been here 2 weeks, and it's been very, very challenging so far because we have a lot going on. With the COVID Delta variant that's going on, really kind of taking off. There was a hurricane on my first day. I guess we got lucky, turned into a tropical storm. We had a lot of things going on about athletics and the ACC collaboration. That was my first meeting on Monday. So there's been a lot going on. But I just want to thank everybody for the warm welcome. to my wife, Jay, and to myself, and I really appreciate the open arms. I think I want to address some of the things that related to COVID, so I'm going to go a little bit out of order here. In the first weeks that I've been here, to reiterate some of the things that Ed has said, one of the things that I think is a misunderstanding by the community is that they believe I have the authority to mandate masks and vaccinations, and I don't have that authority. I could mandate it, and as soon as I mandated it, the next day it will be unmandated. So I work for the state of Florida in some sense. And so we can do everything we can to have those discussions, and we will continue to do that to try to keep campus safe. But if you read the article in the Chronicle, you'll see Kent Fox, the president of University of Florida, speaking about this issue. We are not in the same position as some of the school boards and local schools are. We're in a different position than that. So essentially, our hands are tied in some way. So in some sense, the pleas that you make are to the administration of the Board of Trustees. I actually believe I'm glad you're making those pleas, and we will fight for you, I promise. But we don't have the full authority to take some of these things on. So I want to let you know that I'm doing everything that I can to keep the campus safe. We have all of our classrooms have medical grade ventilation with HEPA filters in them. I've asked Vice President Clark to put some money into buying portable HEPA filtration systems that we can be requested by the TAs and students and faculty in the teaching environments, so hoping to help. I will tirelessly push as hard as I can to try to get the students to wear a mask and drive vaccinations up. I've asked Vice President Clark to set up mobile vaccination sites to bring the vaccinations to the students where they are, in the gym and library and things like that. We've already seen an uptick in vaccinations, small but significant. And we have started to implement vaccination incentive programs here, not only for the students, but now for the staff and faculty. And that's been a very successful program. People are starting to really adopt that. One of the things that you may not have heard, and we're hoping that the department heads and deans will continue to spread the words that I said in my town hall meeting, is that faculty and TAs and students, if you're in a situation where you feel that you feel unsafe or you have a condition that makes you nervous, we want you to go to your department heads and ask for an accommodation, and we will leave that to the local academic units to work with you to try to give you that accommodation. The goal is not to empty out the classrooms to have nobody taught in person. That's the opposite of what we're trying to do. But if there are people who really have a situation, we don't want them to have to go through a lot of hoops to be able to request an accommodation. We always accommodate in universities students, faculty, and staff that have special situations. And I have instructed the deans, department heads, and the provost office to lead this. The provost office will also are supposed to be informed of these requests, so the provost office can follow them and make sure that we follow through on trying to keep people safe. So we still have COVID testing, we still have vaccinations, contact tracing, and we're implementing a new booster program as soon as it is we're able to do that by law, which will be September 20th, so people can line up to get that. And we have implemented the idea of a mix of online, flex, hybrid type options for our students and faculty to go forward. Is it the perfect situation for us to go forward. No, I don't think so. But we actually have to be honest about where we are in the COVID outbreak. I don't think we actually know what the situation is in some sense. We don't have results from the testing, and we haven't had anybody that has really been reporting being incredibly sick. We have had, as far as I know, and my staff tells me, 0 hospitalizations from FSU. So it's really hard to know whether what we read in the press is you know, a complete panic situation, or whether there's nothing, you know, it's not really as bad as we think. We really don't know what we actually have. And that's unfortunate, but that's where we are, and I'm trying to be honest with you. But we're going to do everything we can to try to keep the campus as safe as possible, and we'll continue to push on this and continue to drive home that we expect masks to be worn in the same way we expect teaching assistants to show up on time to class. We are allowing our instructors to ask students to wear a mask in class. They may not comply, you can't make them, but it's okay to ask them those things. So we're hoping that we can all work together on this as one team and one family at Florida State University. I know there are people that would disagree with some of the things that we're doing, but we're working hard on trying to get things done. So I just want to let you know I've been working hard already in the first 2 weeks. I've met with lots and lots of groups, the Faculty Senate Steering Committee, and Chick and his colleagues, and we've been discussing all of these issues, and they've been very good about bringing issues to me already, and I've tried to be very responsive to what's going on. We had a new faculty reception, which was really awesome to meet the new faculty. Just been really great. New residence hall tour, watching the students move in and driving around in the golf cart to meet all the students, and watching sorority rush was just fantastic in every way. And the students, I have to tell you, across the board, whether freshmen or seniors, they love Florida State already, and they love being here. I got to go to Mark Ziegler's fall colloquium and get to meet with some 100 students and field questions from them, and it's just, meeting with the students has been awesome. I was at the ice cream social with the students, and and I held 2 faculty staff town halls that I had last week that I decided to do to try to, you know, address in the best way that I possibly can the questions from the student staff in the audience. I am working on lots of issues related to salaries. I think it's an issue, faculty salaries, graduate student salaries, staff salaries. I've not only talked to my staff, I talked to the trustees about it. It's an area that we want to pay some attention to as we rise in our academic ranking. We need to increase our resources on the academic side. It will take time. It will take time. I've been here a couple of weeks. I'm on the case already, but there is no way we can make changes like this. I got to look at the data. We have to see where we are. We need to benchmark, and we need to do what is best for us at Florida State. And I promise you that I will be an advocate for all of you going forward. I started meeting with the deans to find out what Florida State's about in terms of its academic programs and its departments, and what the needs are and desires, and how we can continue to increase our academic excellence. So it's just been wonderful and moving forward. And you know, it's so exciting to see our 45,000 students start classes on Monday. We have the largest freshman class in Florida State University history with 7,200 students. One of the brightest, average high school GPA is 4.3. I guess I shouldn't say this, but I wouldn't have been able to get into Florida State when I was a student. So the standards are very high, and I'm so proud to be part of this university. We had another groundbreaking year in graduate student enrollment, and we're just off to a really great start going forward. Our women's soccer team is 3-0 and beat the number 8 team in the nation. And we're so excited about the football game coming up with Notre Dame. I think we're going to have a good team this year. I want to take time to thank the colleges of medicine and nursing and the student wellness center, as well as our custodial and housekeeping staffs, for their extraordinary efforts during the pandemic. And I think you'll hear more about some of these details from Vice President Clark and Hecht about some of the things that we have going on here. And I know we're going to hear from Sally about strategic planning, our provost, sorry, Sally, Provost McCrory, and we look forward to that as well. So again, I want to thank everyone on my senior leadership team. They've been wonderful. They've been great to work with. I think President Thrasher told me to take it one day at a time, and that I got great staff to help me. And I've just enjoyed working with them. The other thing that's very nice about being president is if I walk through and say, you know, we need more we need a bigger workout facility, and then I notice that the team immediately starts working on how we're going to get a bigger workout facility. So it's nice to be able to look and see where we can make improvements and be a part of that, and I will continue to work hard. I'd like to particularly thank Chair Ed Burr for helping me personally and professionally during my transition. It's been an incredible resource for me. We talk very often. He gives me wise and sage advice. Most of it I take, and he's just been wonderful to work with. He's very decisive, a great leader, and he has provided incredible leadership for Florida State University and this board. Tireless service for 10 years, and we're really a better place for that. I think he's done a great job in hiring presidents along with this board. At least the last one was, I think, a pretty good choice. And John Thrasher was clearly a good choice, and he did a lot of great things for us. So it's just an honor to be here, and I look so forward to working with all of you. We may agree to disagree on some things, but at the end of the day, I think we're all in it together to make Florida State a better place and a wonderful place, a place that we can all be a part of and be together as a family. And that is a special, very special feeling that this place has that no other place that I've ever been in any university has. And we don't want to lose sight of that. So thank you all so much for giving me the opportunity to talk with you and give a few remarks.
Thank you, Dr. McCullough. Any questions for Dr. McCullough? I just want to thank you for being here. We're excited that you're here. We have spent a lot of time together the last 2 weeks. Maybe that's why it felt like 3 or 4 to me. And you're also very wise not to take all of my advice. So I think that's very good on your part. Let's move on.
Chairman Burr,
Where am I?
it's Chick. Can I make a comment, please?
Sure.
And this is directed to President McCullough. So we heard the comments a few moments ago, all the COVID-related comments, and I've been getting an earful all week from our faculty who are, of course, extremely concerned about the situation on campus. So I want to reiterate and emphasize that FSU really needs to continue to do all it can to accommodate faculty, students, and staff who don't want to be in a situation that makes them physically and mentally unsafe. I've spoken with admin, President McCullough, and others this week, and I'm sure we'll talk again as the semester goes on. But we need to continue to be flexible in anything we do within the constraints given to us by the state to accommodate any faculty or student or staff member without really delving into the specifics. I really feel that if somebody says, I can't get into the classroom, that we need to respect that and work as hard as we can to make that happen. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I really appreciate those comments, and we hope to do that. And that's one of the reasons that I've asked the Provost's office to make sure as we have these things happen that if the local decision-making is not in line with what the desires of our administration the university's administration, then the provost can follow up with it, and if that's not good enough, then I'll follow up myself. So we're going to try to do everything that we can within, as you said, within the constraints that we've been given.
Thanks. And I'll point out that we've been very happy with the response so far, maybe not on each individual case, but at least on the communication between faculty and administration. And I hope we can continue to work like that.
Thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate it. And I've enjoyed working with you, and we'll continue to work together.
Thank you, Trustee Chicken. Any other comments? If not, we'll move on. We have some items of information and some action items. We'll start with Kyle Clark and Amy Hecht with updates on the campus opening and reopening and COVID. Seems to be a timely topic. Welcome, Kyle and Dr. Hecht.
Dr. McCullough has absolutely hit the ground running, and we've implemented a number of things at his request relative to COVID, and we'll talk about that today along with our reopening plan. Along with some of the suggestions that Trustee Chicken has made, we have some new dashboard and other information to share with you this afternoon. So where we are right now relative to COVID are that we have implemented almost 21,000 vaccinations. Those vaccinations are for our students, they're for our faculty, they're for our staff, and they're for our community. We are trying to do all that we can for our community, not just for our faculty, staff, and students. President McCullough, one of the things that he asked is for us to find a way to vaccinate, to meet people where they are with vaccinations. And so we've tried to develop pop-up clinics where we're going out into the campus community to provide vaccinations out into places where students congregate. So this week we've had a number of pop-up clinics at a dining hall on campus where we've had a lot of success in getting students to go and receive their vaccinations. In addition to that, we've also started our planning efforts on the booster shots. We know that there's going to be boosters, especially for those individuals who received Pfizer vaccines. From our conversations with the state health department, it seems like that's going to start around September 20th, and it'll be staggered based on when you received your second dose the first time. So there's a lot to work through and a lot to plan on that process. We're also trying to actively engage with the local hospitals and with the county health department as we start planning for the next phase and for that third shot. One of the things that President McCullough asked for us to establish were not only vaccine incentive programs, which Dr. Hecht is going to go into in just a second, but also some competitions. So we have a competition that we are going to have between all the colleges, between the 17 different colleges that we have on campus. So the College of Business will be competing against the College of Motion Picture Art to have the highest vaccination rate. And for the college that has the largest percentage, all of those students will receive a substantial discount at the bookstore to hopefully be able to go and buy their textbooks for the spring semester. In addition to that, we also have a competition amongst all the residence halls. So the highest percentage of students who are vaccinated in a particular residence hall, and then Dr. Hecht is working on a number of other vaccination programs within some of our student groups.
So in terms of vaccine incentives for our students, those that upload their vaccine card, regardless of what they received, J&J, Moderna, or Pfizer, if they upload it by October 1 and they are fully vaccinated, they're eligible to receive some of these prizes that include tuition and fee assistance, which is huge, dining dollars, in iPad, or a luxury suite during their FSU commencement. So this has really garnered a lot of attention from students who are uploading voluntarily their information that, one, helps us understand the percentage that are vaccinated and helps our contact tracing so that if somebody is a close contact, we know that they're vaccinated. It doesn't take us a day or two to get to them and verify they're vaccinated.
President McCullough has also asked us to implement a faculty and staff vaccine incentive program as well. He announced that Wednesday during his town hall meeting, and we communicated it on Wednesday night. So it is now up and running, and we have a list of prizes that are available for our colleagues across the university as well. We're giving away $450 gift cards to and dining dollars that can be used at any of the restaurants on campus, to our bookstore. We're giving away tickets at the Champions Club to the homecoming game. We're very appreciative of the boosters helping us with that. A reserved parking spot, which I know will be one of the most popular items that will be on the list. The use of a suite during an FSU men's basketball game, and the use of a suite during a women's basketball game. And then we're also going to be including a suite at the baseball game as well. So the same process that we're using for students, we're also using for faculty and staff. It has the same deadline. We're hoping individuals will all get vaccinated as quickly as possible, but you have to submit your information by October 1st, and we'll have a drawing on the 15th to find out who the winners are.
So we continue to offer free COVID testing to our students, our faculty, and our staff. Right now, that is at the Civic Center and in collaboration with athletics as needed. So over 100,000 tests have already been given out. This move-in period, we encouraged all of our students living on campus to either test or upload their vaccine card or let us know that they have had a COVID positive test in the last 90 days. That was a completely optional experience or program for our students, but did help us give a sense of who is living on our campus and make sure those are not positive as they're moving in. We also asked of our pre-fall programs, which is sorority recruitment, our marching chief auditions, and our service scholars, those groups that actually come a week or two early. We asked them to do the same thing, regardless of if they're living on campus, sorority house, or in the community, and we had great participation there as well.
So I think all of you know about our rapid response lab that we have in partnership with Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. So the students have the opportunity to get swabbed on campus, and then the specimens are taken over to a lab that we run jointly with them. Again, President McCullough has asked us to go out and identify locations and to meet the students, faculty, and staff around campus. And so this service is now being offered as a pop-up service to the campus community. We're going to be trying to do this in a number of our colleges, both vaccinations and testing, as well as the library, the rec center, Swanee, and other popular places where we know there are a large group of people that congregate. Right now, our average turnaround time is 11 hours. Demonstrated their ability to be nimble, that is absolutely for sure. They have the ability to identify the variant of each type, which is really cool and really important, and we're going to talk about in just a second. And, you know, we have to also give a shout out to our colleague, Dr. Fulkerson, the Interim Vice President for Research, because her and her team help manage the Rapid Response Lab, and that's an important part of keeping campus safe. One of the things that I wanted to talk about relative to the Rapid Response Lab is Dr. Dennis, who was very instrumental in putting the Rapid Response Lab together with Dr. Ostrander, has set up the variant testing ability for us. So if you look at this chart, you can see all the different variants that we have detected in significant numbers since COVID started. But what is really telling is the first time that we detected the Delta variant out of any of the samples that we collected, that was on June 24, 2021. And when you look at where it was in June, it was around 40% of the positive samples that we collected were the Delta variant. And by the time that we got to the first week in August, 99% of all of the positive cases that were going through the Rapid Response Lab were the Delta variant. So you can see over on the side, all the percentages. It went from 40 one week all the way up to 83, then 86, 88, 97, 98, 99. So now almost all of the positive cases that are going through our lab are the Delta variant.
So in terms of our current COVID results, right now, well, as of early this morning or yesterday, we had 247 positives in isolation and 369 close contacts. in quarantine. And to be in quarantine, those 369 are of the unvaccinated that were in close contact. So we break it down by students, faculty, and staff. And so these are our results that we have currently.
So this is a new level of transparency that we're trying to provide at the request of Trustee Chicken and some of our other colleagues, is enhancing our dashboard. So thus far, predominantly what we've shown the campus community are the number of tests that have been run through the Rapid Response Lab. But not all of our faculty, staff, and students go to the Rapid Response Lab to get tested. Many of them go to Bragg Stadium that's run by the Department of Health. Some of them go to their primary care physician. Some of them get tested outside of Tallahassee, Florida, and we have to work with the Department of Health to get the results. There will be challenges. Yes, sir.
Can I ask you a question? What about people who are doing home testing kits? Are they required to report the results to the Department of Health, or does that not get captured at all?
So they should, so the question is I haven't touched on yet, now they make home testing kits that you can pick up at CVS, Walgreens, or a pharmacy. So we have a process of where you voluntarily disclose those results, and the Department of Health encourages you to do that. So if these numbers do include all of the individuals who have voluntarily disclosed that they have tested positive, but there could be individuals who are self-isolating in their home that have not voluntarily disclosed that information. So this information is as good as we can get from the Department of Health. There will be issues and questions, I'm sure, that come up relative to this, Dr. Chicken, in terms of the timing, because we have to rely on the state's database, and so it won't be maybe as crisp and clean as what we have historically shown, but it will definitely be more transparent in terms of the number of cases, not just the ones that are going through our Rapid Response Lab, but all of those affiliated with Florida State University. This is a little bit of what it will look like as we move forward. And again, to your point, President McCullough, this is all sources. So it's the Rapid Response Lab, the ones that are tested at the Department of Health, and then the voluntary disclosures.
You want to take that? That's your team. So in terms of COVID protocols, as President McCullough has explained earlier, Kyle's team continues to have advanced cleaning in terms of high traffic areas, public areas. There has been increased air changes and filters in all of our classrooms and offices. And his team also has a healthy building team that oversees any extra cleaning. If there is a COVID positive, they will come in and do some deep cleaning or answer any other campus health questions that folks may have.
In addition to that, President McCullough just mentioned we have air purifiers that will be rolling out to our classrooms and individual offices, and we have a process where that can be requested through procurement services. We've also distributed thousands of masks to all of our colleagues around campus, including all of the academic colleges, deans, and department chairs, so that they can individually hand out masks to their students who may not have one. President McCullough asked that we communicate this directly to deans and chairs. We sent out another note this week to make sure that faculty knew that they could request masks, and we would personally have them delivered to their offices. In terms of the plexiglass and shields, we have those readily available for any of our campus community. They can be requested. They're custom fit to each space. So if a faculty member would like a plexiglass shield in front of their lab or workspace, that's not a problem. We're happy to accommodate those. We do have designated healthcare facilities that are on campus that have mandatory masks.
So Kyle and I combine COVID-19 and fall opening because for us it's really one and the same. Last year I came to you with a guide to student life. We have revised that to be recommendations to our student organizations. My staff has been modeling the way. Masks are recommended but not required. We've been pushing for many events to be outdoors, which is safer than indoors. We're trying to encourage social distancing where appropriate and a preference for individually packaged food, or if you have a buffet, to have a server, shield, and so on. We are allowing for student travel, but we do have an additional conversation if a student is traveling on A&S fees or FSU funds to have a conversation about a risk management plan should that student test positive at the location they are traveling to, who is going with them, how are they getting there, just to make sure they've thought through as best they can some of the risks.
So in terms of isolation and quarantine, this is also something else that President McCullough asked Dr. Heck and I to work on, and that was to identify additional spaces where we could house students who needed to be in isolation and quarantine. And so we have always had some beds available for our students who needed to isolate or quarantine, but we've gone off campus now and we've signed a lease for another facility just to be able to accomplish this for a student that might not be able to get back home or might not have another place to go if they tested positive or had to isolate. We also have food and other assistance available for them. We're working with the food pantry, we're working with Airmark to make sure that our students are well taken care of.
So in terms of contact tracing, you have probably heard of SAFER, led by Dr. Emily Pritchard, and they are deputized by the Department of Health. So they have access to all of the state positives COVID tests. And starting next week, a truly collaborative effort between all of the vice presidents and our general counsel, instructors will receive information regarding who is clear or not clear to be in their classroom. It will also include guidance on what to do if a not clear student shows up to their class. Now, clear or not clear does not necessarily mean if they're not clear that they are positive. I want to note that it could mean they're positive. It could mean that they are awaiting a test result. It could mean that they are a close contact and they should be quarantining. So faculty will be provided with that information so that they can help us ensure that students are isolating and quarantining.
So the next couple of slides are just in terms of the foot traffic that we're already experiencing around campus. I know the provost touched on this a little bit, but all of our dining locations have been open now for several weeks. You can see we've sold 4,779 meal plans. That is significantly more than what we sold last year. We have a lot more students on campus than we did last year, and that number will probably grow to around $10 million before the next time that we meet. In this, you can see that for around 2 days, we did 70,000 transactions, and it generated around $326,000 in terms of total sales at those locations. We've served over 3,000 students at the FSU Card Center. We processed more than 1,300 packages at the UPS store, opened up 302 new bank accounts, and the post office distributed 28,000 masks, and we had a tropical system that we were also dealing with during our first week. So it's been very busy, and we are continuing to work with the community to make sure that we meet all of their needs. This is just some data on sales, so you can see that we already have significantly passed our textbook sales for this year compared to the same points in time for the past two fiscal years. And this includes the optional program that we have where students are able to opt in to their textbooks, which does allow for significant savings. And so in the first 2 weeks, that saves students more than $862,000.
Any questions for Kyle or Dr. Heck?
Kyle, do we have the privilege of for unvaccinated? I guess first of all, do we maintain data on vaccinated, unvaccinated with respect to positive testing?
So we have to work with Tallahassee Memorial Hospital on the data that we collect relative to our testing program because it is a joint partnership, and we are changing our process to be able to account for just the thing that you are talking about, but it has to go through their institutional review board before we can put it into action. We expect that will probably take place within the next probably week to 10 days or so, but once we have that, we will be able to then draw some data points on the number of people who tested positive who were vaccinated versus unvaccinated.
certainly national stats would support that. If that's the case, would we have the privilege of random testing non-vaccinated?
We can't mandate testing, we can encourage folks to get tested, and I think that's, President McCullough's vision, I think partially is the more convenient we can make this, hopefully the larger the adoption is, and so we're working our way to that.
One of the pieces we did during sorority recruitment, we had a number of conversations with the leaders because we started to see an increase in positives, or at least rumors that some might be positive. And we worked with those leaders to help them understand test and isolate. Don't wait, because we want you to have these experiences in person, and we were successful. They just finished their bid day on the Sunday before the first day. So we are trying to change students' understanding, and with Tazzie's help as well, encouraging students to go get tested if they have symptoms or have been in close contact. There are isolation beds available. Your faculty will work with you. You will not fall behind if you do need to isolate. But the biggest, chip that we have right now is to encourage students as best we can to mask, test, and vaccinate. But we can't mandate any of those three pieces.
Thank you.
Al and Amy, quick question. Is there
Anything
anything?
else?
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Gonzalez?
I'm here like talking in our living room. Apologize. Are there any things within the COVID risk attenuation realm that any state university is doing in the state that you feel Florida State is not doing?
I think that the Board of Governors have been very consistent in terms of the guidance that they have provided all the institutions. I know President McCullough participates on several times a week, conference call with the other university presidents. I know Chairman Burr also was involved in that conversation as well. I certainly meet with my colleagues at the other universities locations in the state. I know Dr. Heck does. I know the provost does. The cabinet is very tight. We communicate a lot amongst ourselves. But I'm not aware of things that are ongoing at other campuses that we haven't implemented at Florida State University. I think most groups have some varying degree of the same things that we have. I think, like our incentive program, we were a little bit ahead of the gate maybe in terms of some of the other schools and what they've done, and implementing the filters, the MERV 13 filters, the hospital grade filters. But we all have pretty much tried to mirror one another and be consistent in our approaches.
Trustee Gonzalez, I will say, since this started March of 20, I have never seen a better cooperative effort than the Board of Governors under the Chairman Kitchen's leadership and the Chancellor's leadership. We had weekly calls for a long time. Now they're every other week. The presidents talk at least once a week with the other board chairs, the other presidents, medical expertise, Surgeon General Rifke's, to make sure that we were all doing everything we could with best practices consistently across the board. And it's been and I've said this publicly before, a great effort by the BOG and coordinating that process and making sure that we all had the best knowledge available. And it's been it certainly helped all of last year, I think, minimize the damage, and we're doing everything we can in the same vein this year, given the parameters we have to operate in.
Thank you.
Yes, last night, Coach Norvell was saying that Myron Roll had spoken to the football team about getting vaccines, and I think that that's really good to have a peer, somebody they look up to, speak to them. And I don't know if there's a way to do that, to get that message out, but I think he said 85% of the football team has now been vaccinated. If you could get that number on campus.
I know that's the goal, and that's something they're aspiring for, but I think Dr. Heck and Tazzy, a number of us have done different videos and gone to spoke out to different groups to kind of do the outreach and to try to encourage it. Tazzy, I don't know if there's...
Yeah, one thing I will add is on a student leader level, a lot of conversations have been happening, as Dr. Heck mentioned, with sorority recruitment. We saw a lot of incentives for the women to go out and get vaccinated, either encouraging COVID testing 2 to 3 times a day, or 2 to 3 times several days, or getting vaccinated. And that within itself, people didn't want to, have to worry about getting tested every single day. So a lot of people went ahead and get vaccinated voluntarily as a way to just keep themselves safe and keep others safe in that process. And something that we're doing within the Student Government Association, just as Dr. Heck did for campus-wide, a guide back to campus, is a guide to programming and really pushing outdoor programming to limit the in-person kind of contacting and being in tight spaces so that student leaders are more protected outside and have ability to connect in that way through outdoor lens.
And over the summer, we invested strategically in some of our outdoor spaces to create more front porches and more living rooms that could be outdoors so that students could have more space outside to meet in. And the same thing with faculty and staff. And so if people want to call and ask us, how we can help leverage those opportunities, Dr. Heck and I, either one would be happy to help any of our groups around campus.
And Trustee Sargent, I think that's a really great idea. I was thinking exactly the same. I had exactly the same thought that you had, and I was trying to, let us think good and hard about, maybe someone, a peer, somebody who's an influencer, maybe we can get a musician or somebody famous to come. I don't know, but I think that's a great idea, and let us, we need to try everything we can, so.
Also the facts. I mean, my husband, as you know, was a very, very bad case and had a doctor now at UM and a doctor at Cleveland Clinic. And both of them have recently told me that, their ICUs are full, 60 patients, 59 are unvaccinated. So the facts are the facts about the vaccination. Yeah. It's not political. The facts are that the unvaccinated are the ones that are getting really sick.
Yeah.
If the students just need to know that, and parents need to know that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Amy, I have a quick question before you go.
Sure.
Over here. On your SAFER, the instructor is notified if somebody tests positive in a classroom. Are the rest of the students in the class notified that one of their fellow students has been?
Yes, so I'm going to look to my colleagues to refresh my memory because we did have a long discussion about that just yesterday. What we are really encouraging faculty to do as best they can to do seating charts. And I know that can be very difficult for a large class, but zones at least. And because when Dr. Pritchard calls and says, Amy Hecht has tested positive, she will not be in your class, who do I need to contact that was close to Amy during that class and were they masked and so on. So she will be having dialogue with the faculty to help understand that. If we know of a close contact, that student will absolutely be notified by SAFER. In addition, the letter, I'm looking at Dr. McCrory, the letter will inform the faculty that they may disclose that there was a positive in the classroom, but we ask that the name be withheld, although you will know the name as the faculty member. But
yeah, I didn't expect the name to be out, but many faculty are concerned that they felt that they couldn't warn the rest of the class. Hey, everybody.
Right. And we did agree on the phone call to reassess this after 1 to 2 weeks to see if we debated, do we tell every student in the class that there was a positive in the class, not naming names, but we're very concerned, and Carolyn Egan pointed out, we don't want students to not pay attention to the emails because one of those emails may tell them they're the close contact, and that's the one we really want them to pay attention to. But I think that a faculty member announcing it will help our students register that this is real, this is happening to their peers, and that they should be careful and cautious as best they can. Okay, I did remember our conversation correctly.
All right, anything else? Thank you, Dr. Heck. Thank you, Kyle. It's a great update and great start. Again, emphasizing we're doing everything we know possible to do to try to keep our FSU family safe. Next, we have Andy Janji giving us a update on university advancement. Andy?
Thank you, Chairman Burr, trustees. I've been asked to give a quick update on fundraising for how we closed out the last year and how we've started this year. So if you look at the numbers, we finished out at 121 million total fundraising, 121.5 million. For the FSU Foundation, we finished right below 70 million, and that was one of our top 3 years ever in the history of Florida State University. So kudos goes out to our leadership team, the deans, and our development officers who really got out and really closed gifts over the last quarter. The boosters finished out at 45.5 million, and one of the things that they really focused in on is revenue. And that was one of their better years on the revenue side as they finished out the year. As an endowment update, a lot of questions get asked about where we're at on the endowment. We are right below the $900 million mark on our endowment, which is one of the things that we've talked a lot about is how do we get to $1 billion. So this has been a really good year. Our Foundation Investment Committee did a tremendous job on looking at the allocations and being very strategic. Their return rate of our foundation endowment was 36%. And what I'd like to point out is that was #1 in the state university system. It's been a tremendous year for our investment committee on how they did the reallocation and moving forward on that. For context, in 2016, our endowment was at 580 million. So it's been a good growth, and we hope to continue that growth, not only from the investment committee, but also from a fundraising piece. Year to date, so these are year to date numbers for the first 2 weeks into August. And the foundation was at about 7 million. We've had a couple other gift closures in the last week that I'll be looking forward to reporting to you at our next meeting. The boosters are 2.7. So currently the university is at 10 million fundraising. I know I wanted to keep this short and want to answer any questions that the trustees may have on this.
Any questions for Andy? What's our plan this year, Andy? What's the forecast? What are you looking for out of 2021?
Well, you know, we're going to start talking about the planning process. One of the things that we do is we meet with each of the deans. We do a goal setting. We go through, on the foundation side, we go through the process of saying, here's what each of the colleges are going to raise. We've been consistently at the 60 to 70 million range since the campaign, since we started the campaign. Before that, we were in the 35 to 40 million on the foundation side. The boosters are launching their new virtual that we got to see, their virtual seating, that their numbers will be calculated based on some of the things that they're going to try to do. So I would say we are going to have to, if we want to get to the numbers we want to get to, we are going to have to increase our fundraising and continue to do that. And this year was a really good year. I mean, so I would like to say we did a good job this year. The questions are going to be, how are the major gifts going to come in and how quickly, and can we stay on the road with what's going on with COVID?
Thank you. Any more questions? Thank you, Andy. Thanks for the report. Next on the agenda is Dr. McCrory to talk about the strategic plan update. Sally?
Well, hello? Okay, cool. Our strategic plan was approved in the fall of 2016 by this group. We established an implementation committee of faculty, staff, students, community members, and trustee Mark Hillis, former trustee. I charged that group to make sure that the plan was a living plan that would guide the university for the next 5 years. The group identified 2 leads for each of the 6 goals and empowered them, to develop tactics and measures that would guide the implementation. In all, there were around 200 people across campus who directly contributed to the implementation plan. These work groups defined 17 key campus-wide initiatives and established 155 individual metrics metrics again, that were designed to indicate progress on our goals. This is the strategic plan website. There's the address at the top. You have full access to that anytime you might want to take a look at that. The 5 years of the plan are from 2017 to 2022, but because of the data needed to assess success, in the final year that will come after that year is over, the measured outcomes will extend to 2023 in some of the cases. The first 8 plan initiatives, the strategic plan has 17 initiatives. 8 are shown in this slide. There were between 2 and 5 initiatives per goal. On the left is the goal number in Roman numerals and the initiative identifier that is in alphabetic order. This naming is followed on the website. For each initiative, we selected a single metric that would represent the overall effect of that effort for that initiative. For each of those metrics listed here, you will see that we have recorded a baseline measure, a target or a goal measure, and a target measure for each year. You can see that we've already met the goal or ahead of our pace on the goal on 6 of the 8 measures shown in this grouping. You will also notice that on the last measure, we're well ahead of this trend in 2019. That's the current value that is shown, but we had to cancel many of these activities because of the COVID last year. These are the final 9 metrics. We have met the goal or are ahead of the pace on 7 of the 10 that are shown here. You may also notice that Initiative 6C has 2 separate measures. COVID again affected our on-campus participation in our Live Well FSU activities, where we had to cancel many of our outreach programs. The only initiative where we are not on trend to our goal is our ambitious goal to have our reputational rankings move into the top 25. We've talked about that earlier today with some of you. This is based on votes from presidents, provosts, and enrollment managers at national universities. We've invested in information campaigns, and we are going to be really focusing these efforts moving forward to improve these rankings. But we're finding it's a difficult needle to move, but we're going to be focused on that moving forward. So in sum, we set ambitious goals, empowered people to find the tactics to pursue them, and engaged our entire community to use these goals to move FSU forward. I'm proud of how well we have done. I'll briefly talk about each goal separately. This is our first one, entrepreneurship and innovation, which makes a lot of sense, of course, for our university with the gift from Mrs. Moran and the Moran Foundation and the establishment of the first standalone College of Entrepreneurship here. You can see these on the website. For now, these 2 are grayed out, meaning that they have been affected by COVID restrictions. And in your packet, which you should have, there's an accompanying page that lists the original goal statement, the implementation, key tactics, activities, and so on, so that you can look at later. Goal 2, academic and research excellence. Clearly, this is a huge focus for the university, particularly now moving forward. Some of our key tactical metrics have had very good recent success in growing our faculty, although that was paused for a year because of the pandemic. And we have been increasing our research and our graduate programs. These are 2 things that we want to do much better moving forward, especially increasing our faculty and our research. We have excellent faculty and are recruiting great young faculty. To keep them, we are developing programs and expectations that allow them to grow their professional careers here at FSU. And as you heard, another product of these efforts is our first homegrown National Academy member, Greg Bobinger from the National Magnetic Laboratory. Goal 3 is diversity and inclusion. We have a 3-pronged approach. Number 1, to improve the diversity of our student population. Number 2, to improve the diversity of our employee base, especially faculty. And number 3, to promote programs that provide global experiences and multicultural appreciation. Many of our student engagement efforts were paused because of travel restrictions, but we're showing some progress on the other efforts. Goals 4 and 5 are student success related. I'm very proud of our big, longstanding commitment to student success that has yielded nationally ranked retention and graduation rates for our students. You can see that for most of these measures, the garnet line showing our actual performance is leading our targets that are shown in gold. We are committed to the success of every student, that's the truth, and I take pride that our first-generation students, our lower socioeconomic students, and minority populations perform on par with all our other student groups. I encourage you to look in your packet and online to become more familiar with our efforts here. Goal, what is that, 11? No, 6, sorry. It's a long day. Goal 6, institutional excellence and reputation. We've made some progress on presidential reputational rankings. That's just the votes of the president, right, as we talked about earlier today, moving from 49th to 37th. As I mentioned before, this is a tough measure to move. We have had several tactics related to reputation, most of which involves use of media, and we will continue to focus much more strongly on those efforts. The remaining metrics in this area are about operational excellence associated with our fiscal, human resource, information technology, and sustainability operations. For years, FSU has been one of the nation's most efficient universities. Because we have not seen a tuition increase in a long time, we must find new revenue sources, contain costs, and find both excellence and efficiencies in our operations. This ends our section on the strategic plan implementation. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Dr. McCrory? Dr. Roy, when are we going to start? Aren't we gearing up for the next strategic plan process?
Yes, we'll be working with our new president to determine how we want to proceed with that, and of course with everybody on the board.
All right, thank you.
If I may, I'm going to give just a couple of updates from academic affairs while I'm here. You know that we have our largest class ever. I just got the newest data for today. We have 34,084 undergraduate students, 10,228 graduate students. That's the most in both of those categories that we've ever had. So a total, as of today, of 45,414. Drop ad has ended, so that's pretty close. Our graduate numbers will continue to probably go up, but that's probably a pretty close estimation of where we're going to be, so 45.5, which is big. I've been here 27 years. When I came, I think it was 26,000 students here, and I know even at that time it was a lot larger than it had been earlier. Some of our, that's our new freshman class. Some of our expanded outreach, I wanted to very briefly describe to you. Our Next Gen Knowles program provides additional support for students with dependents, typically students who have children or are caring for children. A launch of our First Gen Knowles Network will provide, and does provide now, outreach for all our First Gen students at FSU, with special engagement and support for the over 1,000 new First Gen students that we have that are not members of the CARE program. Our Project Beyond Limits initiative will provide encouragement and support for over 1,000 students from low-income families in our freshman class. A new out-of-state, this is important, a new out-of-state and off-campus support effort for all new students who are coming to FSU from out-of-state and those who are living off-campus in their first year. This is a new effort to help them become successful. On the screen, you see some pictures from our first out-of-state student engagement event. You see two tents here, one from Midwest and the other from the Rocky Mountain areas. So we really are starting to think about attracting and helping make out-of-state students successful. And we have a new peer mentorship program for new students who earned an associate's degree in high school. Now, think about that. We have a lot of kids who come in, have already earned their AA while they're in high school. And so they are jumping right in into their majors, which typically happens in the junior year, right out of high school. So that can create some unique pressures on students who are very high achievers here. So we're working to make sure that those students are as successful as possible. I already mentioned that. Very briefly, here's some of our new wonderful faculty members. We had 90 new faculty members join us this year. Recruiting during the pandemic was slow, and we didn't hire as many people as we will be doing, we hope, this year. But here's just a few. Jean Wang is our new professor and new dean of the College of Nursing. She's amazing, amazing person. She's coming to us from University of Texas Health Science Center at San Antonio School of Nursing, where she served as vice president for research. So she worked not only with nursing, but also with the med school there. She is an internationally regarded scholar in the applications of digital healthcare, which is becoming increasingly important. Okay. The rest of these people are new and wonderful, and that's it.
Thank you. I gave her the hook. They're great people. We just have a limited time.
Yes, sir.
And a big
Sorry about
agenda,
that.
And I appreciate
Sorry
that.
about that.
And I know you want to have us make a motion and approve your LBR, so I'll let you finish up whatever else do you need to.
Nope, we'll go right to the LBR.
Okay.
Sorry. Our budget request for your approval today is very important, of course. We know that FSU needs additional resources to continue rising and up to the top 10, expand research, and position ourselves for AAU membership. This year, we split our request into two parts, one for investing in faculty success, graduate student success, and undergraduate student success, and the other is to improve our operational resources needed to support those areas. Faculty success, I may have skipped that. No. Sorry. Is foundational. We plan to recruit over 120 additional faculty members to disciplines across campus. We're focusing on faculty who will fuel the continued growth of our research enterprise, including National Academy members, experienced senior researchers, and promising assistant professors. We also plan to engage in a strategy of cluster hiring, in which we hire a number of professors working in the same general research area who would work together to amplify their research and the research funding. We are focused also on graduate student success, maintaining our doctoral numbers and increasing those, and the number of our postdoc scholars. Our continued focus on undergraduate success, of course. We do need to keep recruiting more and more top students from Florida and elsewhere. And additional funding will help us expand scholarships. And we are still below the recommended levels for student to advisor ratios, even though we've added a number of advisors in recent years. Our operational support request is interesting in that we are the only preeminent university in the state of Florida that does not get this, has not gotten this already from the legislature. UF got it for a couple of years already, and USF did also, and we still have not. So this is not a good thing for us. We need to get this, and we are requesting it, basing those requests on top faculty in the STEM fields. You need startup funds. We got to retrofit laboratories and classrooms. We need funding for all kinds of support for graduate students and postdocs. And we have to improve our IT infrastructure.
So I know that the LBRs got sent to everybody, and I know everyone's reviewed them. Let me see if there's any questions for you before we have a motion on the LBRs. They were distributed. I think there were some modifications made, some changes, and then they were redistributed.
Yes,
Any questions for Sally?
Can I make just one comment, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
about it? I read that. I don't know how many faculty or staff hours went into that document, but it was impressive. The facts and the figures and the goal and the aspiration. So I commend your staff for putting that together. I would be shocked at the number of people
Trustee
hours.
Collins, is that a motion to approve?
It is.
Motion to approve from Trustee Collins. Is there a second?
Second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Thank
Motion-
you.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
You had us at hello, Sally. All right, next action item we have is, we talked about in the workshop, the DSO governance review. I was going to ask Carolyn to read what the motion would be, then see if someone would move it for approval.
Sure.
Carolyn, would you read it?
Thanks, I'm in my normal seat and not behind the glass. I feel much better in my normal seat. So I think the appropriate motion to let us do what we need to do here, our technical folks are getting the one slide up there, maybe if they can click through to show the next bullets. So as we discussed, our intent here is to extend this obligation that is currently existing on the university administration to the direct support organizations to, and I think we should do two parts. I think we should ask the direct support organizations to review their own internal threshold levels and then also report to the president and consult with the board chair contracts meeting those thresholds. And I made that very simple, obviously, a very, very simple motion, but I'll try to make it simpler. To extend the financial management contracting thresholds to the direct support organizations. And I think that'll do it if someone will make that motion.
Carolyn, just to clarify, it's really to ask them to amend their bylaws. That would require them to do it, or can we do that unilaterally as part of this motion?
You know, I didn't specify because I was wondering this morning if it would be easier to put it in our DSO regulation. So it would either be by them amending their bylaws or us putting it in the DSO regulation. I was just trying to figure out which way is easier. Maybe it doesn't matter, and
So the motion should be whatever way whether the most effective way to extend these same guidelines to each of the DSO to comply with.
Yes, sir.
Including transparency to this board?
No, all the way, this includes to this board.
Yes.
This is to this board.
Doesn't say that, that's why.
Let's add to report out annually. I guess maybe we rely on the slide, an annual report made to the full board of these contracts.
Like the full board of trustees of FSU, not of the DSO.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. It's a little unclear, but I think we know exactly what we're trying to do. If we're not clear, all DSOs, if they achieve any of these levels, they will have to come to the FSU president and the FSU Board of Trustees chair for consent, and then keep the Board of Trustees always informed and updated.
Yeah, I think the what is clear, it's just the how is the best way to achieve it.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We have one other action item, that's going to be the next chair of the Board of Trustees. I want to take about indulge me, about a 5-minute break. Let everyone go to the bathroom, do anything they need to do. I want to be sure we have time to fully discuss and do what we have to with this motion. So. I'll give you a second. Thanks, everybody. Let's reconvene. I needed a few minutes on procedural process. Procedural process, I think that's duplicative, of how to handle the chair's vote. So I appreciate your indulgence in doing that. We usually have only a single candidate who or a member who's interested in being chair. It's my understanding that we may have more than one at this point in time. So I thought I would start by asking if there's any members here who are interested in being the next chair, and then ask you to say a few words if there are. Is there any member who's interested in serving as chair of the Board of Trustees?
Mr. Chairman, I am.
Peter Collins, Trustee Collins, why don't you spend a few minutes telling us why you're interested in, not a campaign speech, in just a couple minutes.
Couple of minutes. FSU gave me everything I have. I came here as a junior college graduate, and I had a great, it was a little bit longer than two years, so I didn't quite make the 4-year. But I had a great time here. I met my wife here. And it seems like every point in my career, there's been some tie to FSU that's gotten me to that next level. A relationship, a helping hand. And so I've tried to give back, and I've been giving back to the university in multiple ways for the better part of a couple decades. I've served on the board of the business school. Served on the Dean's Search Committee for the business school. I've been a member of the MBA Advisory Board. I spent 9 years on the foundation board. I chaired the development committee for 2 years. I chaired the investment committee for 2 years. I still serve on the investment committee along with Trustee Thiel here today. And I have a passion for Florida State. And I have a knowledge of the university that I think is valuable to this group, and I want to serve. I told the governor when he appointed me to this spot, I said, Governor, I said, you understand, you're appointing me, but my first love is Florida State. I know I serve it at his pleasure, but my first love and my first commitment is Florida State. And whether that's a tuition issue or whatever it is, that's my passion, and that's what I told him when he was appointing me. So I feel like I certainly have a lot to learn. I'm a new member of the Board of Trustees, but I feel like I'm a pretty experienced member of the FSU community. So I do have an interest in serving. I do have an interest in chairing. And I think the final thing I would say is I have been on the board for I guess about a year now, almost a year. I'd like to see us all more involved. I'd like to see us have more of those discussions that you were talking about, Mr. Chairman. I think we're all here because we're passionate and we want to serve. And I look at it as my job as chair to make sure that everybody has a fulfilling experience as a member of the Board of Trustees. And I'm going to work really hard to do that if you all elect me as chair. And that's something I think that we're going to need, and I think something President McCullough is going to need.
All right, thank you, Trustee Collins. Max, you have an interest?
No, definitely I'm not going to run, for
Okay.
sure. But I'm glad that somebody like Peter has decided to apply for this job, or be a candidate for this job, simply because if you spend the last couple of days in these meetings, you understand that we are an institution of higher learning. And we are about academia and we're about our students, but we also have to know about the business of running a university. And I trust Peter. He's a businessman who not only understands academia, whose loyalty for FSU is 100% or more, but he also understands business. And I think we need to make sure that whoever replaces you, and by the way, whoever replaces you have big shoes to fill. is somebody who understands about academia and business. So I would support somebody like Peter.
Thanks,
simply
Max.
Because I consider that
If I may,
he has what it
Chairman?
takes.
Well, let's slow down. I was going to, if anyone else is interested in being chair first, and then we'll talk about, open up for discussion if I can do it. Is
Chairman,
there anyone else interested?
Mr. Chairman, I think this will be pretty easy. I think my name is a name that probably somebody else had been swirling around. Several people talked to me about it. My perspective is pretty straightforward. My focus is on helping Dr. McCullough be successful, particularly in the transition, because his success is our success. I appreciate folks talking to me, and I appreciate it's heartfelt, but I respectfully decline. I don't want to move forward with a potential nomination. I think the best way I can serve this university is as a trustee. So in fact, I'm pretty pleased that Trustee Collins is interested, and if we move on to the next level, I think I'll avoid many speeches from everybody.
Is there anyone else?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez. Before you move, I don't want any motions or anything else. Is there anyone else that's interested in being considered as the next chair of the Board of Trustees? All right, now, Trustee Gonzalez, you're recognized.
I'll avoid many speeches from everybody, so I nominate Trustee Collins to be the next chairman of the Board of Trustees.
Is there a second to that nomination?
I second that motion.
All right, now we'll open it up for discussion. Trustee
I mean,
Fields.
I think George, I'm taking his lead, but I would just remind everybody as we think about the challenges that we just saw a master plan. His background in real estate development is enormously relevant, as was yours, And then I think the fact that he served 4 years with the state of Florida Investment Advisory, which keeps him very connected to the state of Florida, his relationship with Ash and the administration. I think that's all going to help us in Florida State.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say, it is an important position, and I think it's incumbent upon this board. Things are changing now, and it's going to be a little bit different. I think Peter really wanted this job, and I think that's good and bad. And I think this board should be here to block and keep everybody out of the way of Dr. McCullough and let him put his stamp on this. And getting too far into the details would be something that we do not want. And I think this is awesome, but I think this board is responsible to step forward and make sure that we keep rein on outside as well as inside and let him put his stamp on here and let him lead this university. So that would be my thoughts.
Thank you, Trustee Mateer. Any other?
I actually want to echo Craig's comment. I totally agree. I'm very excited to see Peter lead us. As a new member, I'm excited to have information and be involved and definitely not sit on a board that I didn't have the luxury to sit on yours really, that I don't think has ever been a yes or a no board. But I do think it's going to be more challenging in the near future as President McCollum has great ideas, and with that comes change, and we've got to be here to think through it, support it, but have those hard conversations and make sure the university continues to do what it's been doing. So just echoing what Craig says, it's a slippery slope.
All right. Any other comments?
Yeah, mine's is about a compliment to you and a challenge to this board. You have carried a lot of water for us for a long time, and a lot of things, to do things very well. And we've got a void there to fill of all the things you've done. So I think advice and counsel from you to this board and to Peter about how we do that, because all those things that's in your head and your heart that you've done, how do we do that on it? And I think it's getting more activity with this committee, with committees and with the members to follow up and do that. And that's intended as a way to thank you, part of this. That's not the time to do that, but as a reminder there that we need to rally around the chairman and participate with him to make this work.
Appreciate that, Jim. And of course, may not be on this board, but I'll still be part of the Florida State family, available to you anytime that we want that. We have a motion and a second, though, on the floor. Any other discussion?
I have one more thing to say. Peter, you talked a lot about relationships and how important relationships were for you getting to the next phase, and I think that's important for where our university is. And granted, your relationships with across the state, I look forward to you leveraging your relationships to move our university forward as well.
All right, any other comments? Hearing none, we'll close discussion and we'll vote. We have a motion for Peter Collins, the next chair of Florida State University Board of Trustees. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Actually, all in favor, raise your hand. That's a unanimous vote for Peter Collins. Congratulations, Peter. Before I conclude, do you have anything you want to say?
I'd just like to, we're going to do this at another time, but we've known each other for, I don't know, 15 years. And I would echo Jim. You've provided unbelievable leadership, and I'm going to be wearing your phone out. I hope you'll still take my call when you just don't think we're talking about playing golf or something.
I'll be available to you anytime, and the president.
I appreciate your service, and I look forward to working with everybody, and I look forward to working with Dr. McCullough.
Well, I know you'll be a great board chair. I know FSU will be served well. You have a great vice chair. He's been a great friend to me, and he'll continue as your vice chair. He's not leaving, just me. So it's a great thing, and we're excited to FSU will be well served by you. And congratulations, and I'm excited about the future of Florida State University with you and Dr. McCullough as its president. They'll be in great shape, and yet it makes me feel very good about knowing we're leaving FSU in a position to continue the path that it's been on, and even better. So just a couple of comments from me. One, obviously want to reflect on, how much an honor it's been for me to serve. I didn't expect this. It's truly been my pleasure. And to serve with each of you and the ones who have come before you. And I thank you for the chance to do it. Now it's open forum. Anybody have anything they want to share?
Chairman Burr, could I say a few words? Missed the dinner last night, and I'm sorry that I did, and I know you guys celebrated the last meeting with Chairman Burr, and I'm sure you heard about the spear and all you did that, but it's not over yet, Ed. I do, on behalf of all the trustees who have served with you on this session, as well as the previous trustees, I want to take a moment just to thank you absolutely, Chairman Burr, for your dedicated service to this board. For the past 10 years, you've been the trustee on the board since 2015.
10 years, 8 months, and 27 days.
That's a long time, and I will tell you that throughout, I've been, I think it's my 6th year, so somewhere around that range. But I can tell you, the entire time I've been on the board, I've seen nothing but steadfast leadership from you, and in that time we've had some good times and some tougher times, and you've faced up to all of them, working closely with President Thrasher and the cabinet and the board to strategically raise the caliber of Florida State University. And it's one thing to say that, but as my mother used to say, the proof's in the results, or the proof's in the pudding. And so you look back at your leadership and the period that you were the chairman, and it's been a pivotal time in FSU reaching a top 20 ranking, which was actually better than the goal we set back then. So you far exceeded that, operating as one of the most efficient universities. We do, for every dollar we get, we make 2 out of it almost before we turn loose of it. But the focus that you've had, along with staff, along with Dr. McCrory and others on student success and improving the graduation rates and all the things that you've done to focus on the students. And FSU is a top-tier university, and the best professors and the best programs and all the good things that have been done on this campus in the past 10 years and under your leadership since 2015 as chairman. So I just want to tell you how much we really appreciate all that. I know, because I've seen it, And I know how difficult it is sometimes, but you've always been here. You've always had a steady hand. You've always taken on the role as a professional and as a diplomat, and, well, not always diplomatic, but sometimes diplomatic, balance and guidance and with decisiveness and expertise and goodwill, and usually with a little fun along the way, too. So thank you for all that you've done. You've not only been the chairman of the board, you've also worked with the foundation board in your past and the Seminole Boosters Board. You've been honored by the College of Business Hall of Fame for your success in the business world and being a graduate. First generation graduate, you know, as many of us are.
That's right. It's amazing how many.
So, you know, there is something about Florida State that gives people a real opportunity to get a college degree. If you're willing to work, yes, you can afford it. And that's sort of the way that FSU has been operating for some time. But I know they gave you a spear last night and maybe a few other things, but we've got one more thing, at least one more thing, two more things. If Julie's here, Julie Decker, would you come forward, please?
Thank you. Trustee Sasser, President McCullough, Trustee Burr. I'm here today to announce the 2021 Sliger Award honoree selected by the FSU Alumni Association and our National Board of Directors. Named for the 10th president of Florida State University, the Bernard F. Sliger Award is the single highest honor accorded by the Florida State University Alumni Association. This award, which will be handed out on Friday, October 22nd at the Alumni Awards Gala, recognizes a member of the university who has made a major contribution towards the fulfillment of the mission of Florida State University. Established in 1993, we have honored 28 deserving members of the FSU community thus far. Recipients include notable alumni such as the late former Governor Reuben O.D. Askew, former presidents of the university, and the incredible Miss Kitty Hoffman. Trustee Burr, I am proud to announce that you are the 2021 Bernard F. Sliger recipient.
It's quite an honor. Thank you.
We will celebrate you properly.
Byron's going to ask me later, why are you so emotional? Yes, I care.
We'll just stop now.
But thank you.
We got one more
Thank
thing
you.
here for you from the Board of Trustees. We want to thank you for all the hard work and all the dedication. And I was really glad to hear you say that you weren't going anywhere and you'd be available for advice, but really do. You've done such a great job. It's been exceptional, and thank you so much for all you've done for FSU.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If I can gather myself. It has been a great run, and it'll be a great future, and that's the best part. Took a lot to get us here, but I know it's going to be a great future. And so, again, it's been an honor to serve. It is a special place, and we leave it in your hands, and the hands of this board, and I know you'll do great things. And I just want to thank you again for the opportunity to serve. I will tell you, it's easy to be a chairman, and a great chairman, when you have a great administration. And with President Thrasher and now President McCullough, and these folks who are around here, who have been here the whole time I've been here, it is a great administration. So if you all screw this up, it's all your fault. It is not their fault. And so I have worked with all of you over the years. So thanks to the administration, the staff, and all of you. Godspeed. Chairman, your next regular meeting is Thursday and Friday, September 23rd and 24th, which is around the Louisville game. If there's no business, meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.